You got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
Whenever we see the timer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the One Nation Radio Podcast. We are going to discuss Black Panther today.
Yes,
Anyone happy? You want to clap?
Yes,
I want to clap. I love it. It's fantastic. I'm so happy about this movie. I love this movie so much.
God damn it.
You can hear by the laughs right now that we do have the young boy Josh Smith with us as well. He is going to be our own Everett K. Ross, and we might actually hide that man in a room.
This might be like one of the most enthusiastic that I've ever seen you for anything ever.
Me?
Yeah.
James normally, yeah.
I didn't know I was such a stick in the mud. I was thinking I'm not a reserve.
This is like Christmas joy. This is like this is like pure Bailey love. You know what I mean?
Oh my God! So get me started. So yeah, guys. I guess we can start with a little spoiler free for like 5 minutes or so, and then we get into it.
Sure.
So your role and impressions of the movie. I guess we'll start with our Everett K. Ross. Everett K. Ross. We'll start with the white guy, Josh Smith.
That was the white. Well, first off, I'm half Hispanic. Second of all, that was the white dude in the movie.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Martin Freeman. The good white guy. There's only two. There's a bad white guy and a good white guy.
Man, who was the bad
One of the good ones.
Who was the bad
Andy
white
Serkis.
guy? Oh, yeah. That's right.
The hand.
Yeah.
I thought this movie was really, really, really good. I thought it was like one of the best Marvel movies they ever made.
Okay. I mean, you can only do so much with it. But as far as your experience, just movies in general, because I know you don't really do the superhero thing. Really.
Yeah, so I don't really watch the superhero movies. Normally, it's just too fake for me, and it's just too much of a suspension of reality. And,
oh my God!
But when I watched Black Panther, it was like, wow. This is what it's all about, huh? Are they all like this? That was the first thing I was thinking.
Well, not some of the Marvel. We'll talk about it on this podcast. Some of the stuff is like the Marvelism and superhero movie thing, where apparently every single movie
is the same.
Yeah, almost there's always. I mean, most of these movies a lot let me guess, the good guy has to fight basically an evil version of himself, like a twin that happened in this movie.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I was there for the culture.
Yeah.
And it was this is one of the few all black top movies with a big budget that's ever going to get made, or it may open the door for others to be made.
Coming to America does exist.
Yeah, that was 30 years ago. Look, that was 30 years ago.
I know, but we got paid tribute. It's like one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, the Oakland part of that movie is okay, so an African king from a fictional country comes to the apartment of a prince, of African prince. And yeah, that's kind of sounds like the end of Coming to America. That's up at the very beginning. So yeah. That has that in there.
But I really liked it, and I was super impressed by just everything. And I know that's kind of a vague statement, but it was the soundtrack, the fighting, the special effects. The
fighting was good.
Yeah, the heel and face dynamics, the twist that comes midway through, the way that Wakanda is set up, as this secret country, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's I was reading some stuff, and it was they were 20,000 years ahead of where we are right now, as far as technology and all that. So I thought it was raw.
You need to see Civil War.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really good.
Yeah, Civil War is really good.
Not because he needs to, because you need to brush up. It's more you would like it. It's good.
I mean, it kind of has sort of the same kind of dichotomy of there's one faction There's one faction that's right for one reason. There's another faction that also has points as well,
right? And
they converge upon each other. Granted, that movie. There's so much stuff you have to pack in or whatever, and I don't know how, for example, you explain to him Ant-Man. He's never seen that shit.
I love Ant-Man.
No, right, but I'm saying he's never seen these movies, so you put that's almost like saying we're gonna throw you into deep water and learn. That's one of the things that I liked about Black Panther is the fact that it is so self-contained. It's probably the most self-contained
Marvel movie, worried about that.
Aside from the first three Marvel movies before we got the Avengers, because nothing really intersects with anything else. It's all separate, and even the stuff that even ties into what happened with the debut of Black Panther. I'm sorry, in Civil War, they even touched on it to where like you never had to see it. They showed you in flashback.
Right.
Hey, and I was worried about that. Like, I was like, well, am I going to understand like all this stuff? Mm-hmm. And I think they did a really good job of setting it up for a lot of folks that may not necessarily, follow this whole like the superhero thing. Like, I felt like they set the tempo for me within the first 5 minutes of the movie where I knew what it was. Mm-hmm. So I was arrived like as a non superhero movie watcher.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess my opening thoughts is I love this movie. I think I've watched this 3 times already. I saw it 3 times I saw the opening. I saw the opening Thursday. I saw it on Saturday, and then I saw it on Tuesday with my mother and my brother Daniel.
You saw it in different formats too, right?
No, I saw them all in IMAX.
Was it IMAX or IMAX 3D?
Not 3D, just
okay. Because I wanted to see it. I don't really like 3D movies, but I heard some people saying this movie was better in 3D. I didn't know if anyone had seen it.
Maybe it was, but I'm thinking of it like it really didn't do anything that like would have showcased the 3D.
They did
that I could remember. That I remember like just offhand.
I was noticing it, watching it because we chose not to see it 3D because I don't like it. But I was noticing what would have been, and there actually is quite a bit. But
okay,
I mean, it was great the way that it was. Anyways,
yeah. So I mean, there's a general with this movie like. And we'll get deep in the storyline once you get past the paywall of getting past the non-spoiler part. But I mean, like you said about all the Marvel stuff is like, how many more times can? Of course, there's like fighting an evil guy version of yourself. Of course, like someone dies in this movie, and then the protagonist yells "No!" So it's kind of on par. But yeah, like I really enjoyed this movie. I think it might be my favorite Marvel movie. And if you ask me, like best superhero movies of all time, I think it's Mount Rushmore area. I think it really true.
I think it's up there. I mean, for me, the ones that are at the top right now, it's like Logan, just because it's a great movie, not even just a great superhero movie.
Right.
I think Civil War and the original Avengers are like up there, and I'd put this right up there in that same like tier.
It's the best one I've ever seen.
Okay, so now for ones for me that stick out, like as far as like movies that I'd be willing to hear someone say is better or as good. I wouldn't necessarily argue as much as I would just disagree, but like I think of like the first Spider-Man 3. I'm sorry, Spider-Man 2.
Oh my God,
Spider-Man 2. I'm not talking about Venom and him dancing around and people getting pissed. I meant Doc Ock. Raimi's Spider-Man 2. X2. Let's see. Dark Knight, of course.
The X-Men movie I liked the best was Days of the Future Past.
I mean, that movie is really good, but it's like, great, we're going to mess with the timeline again.
Yeah. They kind of had to after how bad they screwed it up, though.
In 3, yeah. Okay, so it's, but yeah, so you have those. You also have Dark Knight. You have, you say Avengers is such a great idea. Like, how are they be able to put all this stuff together and tie it in and make it work? And they pulled it off. They didn't pull it off in Age of Ultron as well.
No, Age of Ultron, I didn't like Age of Ultron. Ant-Man's very underrated.
Ant-Man's underrated, but that's also because it was coming out literally months after Ultron. So, yeah, I think now, like, since Ultron, pretty much, like, Marvel hasn't had a bad movie since Ultron. And I wouldn't even necessarily call Ultron a bad movie, it's a mediocre movie.
No, none of them are bad, but me and you alluded to this, how there's the Marvelism, and me and Jeremy were talking about this, and we're like, it's literally the same formula to a WWE tag match.
Well, yeah, it's really similar to like you look at Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is basically magic Iron Man.
Yeah,
it absolutely is.
Yeah,
it's a dude that's really talented at his job. And instead of being a tech guy and a guy that trades on arms technology, is a guy that's a really masterful surgeon, and they're both pricks and smartasses, and then something bad happens to them, and they learn to overcome because of their intellect or whatever, and they're able to appreciate what they once had or what they do have and move on from it, like, and overcome that. Like, and also, like, you also have the part where, like, their love interests in the movies, they're both don't actually end up with them at the end of those two particular movies. If they do Doctor Strange 2 and they end up together, then I'm like,
I'll just simplify the whole thing. You have the entrances.
Mm-hmm.
That's the two characters. That's the antagonist, the protagonist getting introduced in the movie. You got the first meeting of them. That's the babyface shine.
Mm-hmm.
You got the heat. Basically the protagonist goes into some sort of turmoil. It looks like he's done. He's gone. Whatever. And then you have the comeback. The hot tag comes back. He fights the guy the second time, and then you got the crescendo. The only thing is, in Marvel movies, the great villains that they build, they go away forever. So every single match is basically a loser leave towns match because they build. That's the only thing I really don't like about Marvel movies is that they have great villains that they build up for one movie. They get their heat, and then they get beat. And then they are
leave the
gone.
territory.
So who are these numerous great villains? And this is the 18th movie. In my opinion,
I think that's a great place to transition into.
Yeah. Look at the spoilers. So we're now we're past split apart. Okay, so now that we're talking about Eric Killmonger. Okay, so in my opinion, looking at these 18 Marvel movies, I see that there are two good villains ever. Loki and Killmonger. Everybody else, like the elf from freaking Dark World, Thor from Thor 2, fuck off. Hela was cool, but she was underutilized in Thor 3. I don't know, Red Skull from the first one. I mean, Bucky's Bucky, but I fucking hate Bucky.
Anytime you gotta describe somebody with their own name, it's never good.
If they come out for not Winter Soldier, for this next Avengers movie, and it deals with Captain America having to say Bucky again, I'm going to fucking leave it. I might as well get up and walk out the theater. I'm tired of it.
Throw something at the screen.
When I say this, I don't just mean the Marvel Studios movies, because I think everything outside of DC pretty much has the same formula. Even the Sony movies and all that.
I don't know about the DC movies, because the DC movies are awfully dark, brooding.
No, I'm saying not DC. Everything outside of DC. But with that being the case, I'm not going to bat for all these villains, but I'm saying that they've got villains. They're building them up. They've got this expanded universe, and these guys are getting jobbed, and then they go away. And so it's who are they out here fighting? I mean, they're just creating villains to create a movie, and then they're gone. You know what I mean? Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean,
every movie.
Yeah, because there's so many movies now that they're they're less movies. They're more 2-hour, 2.5 hour episodes of TV.
But I'd like it to see someone come back. I don't know,
raise them from the dead.
That happens in comics all the time.
Yeah, but that's also retconning because they're out of ideas and people have to quit and print and goes out of publication, all that kind of stuff.
Or sometimes they don't.
This movie is in day 8. We're in the middle of day 8. It's already made $100 million. I don't think we're going to have to reprint this.
Yeah.
So Killmonger, what made him so great?
Awesome.
I know for me what I liked about him. And it was he was a guy that had an idea of how he wanted to change the world, right? There's plenty of quote unquote good in him. But he does a couple things to let you know that he is an evil motherfucker with twisted kind of logic. And I think he makes it very clear. So, I am Team Killmonger all day, but let's not, act like this dude was flawless. I've seen people out there. Huh?
Why don't you love Wakanda? Wakanda forever.
I'm not saying that. Killmonger, all right, his motivations were to liberate black people around the world through crazy means, essentially. And Wakanda, I told James this when we were walking out in the movie. There was a great argument that the Wakandas are fuck niggas. And if you want to look at it from and I think that's what makes Killmonger such a great villain, because you tweak a couple of things and he's a hero.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, and I think about this when I've listened to a bunch of different people talk about this, and luckily there weren't too many things that anybody picked up on that I actually were my main takeaways from this movie. But the thing for me is, okay, if Wakanda is this country that's technology advanced and has these resources and is isolated because they stay away in part to not have to deal with anybody else's problems in the world, then then that means that they literally had to shut a blind eye and cast off all these other people. And for a country like that to actually exist in a real world situation, eventually something's going to hit it. Eventually something's going to come up against that and make a decision. And you look at, for example, after the first ritual combat that he won, he was actually named the official Black Panther, the official king of Wakanda. Yeah. And he goes to see his father. He asks his father, like, how do I be a king? And the very touching moment where he's like, I'm sorry that I couldn't, protect you, whatever else. He told him, stand up, you're a king. And he says, like, how do I do this? And he says, you need to find people who you trust or whatever for advice. And then he says, it's hard, and it's foreshadowing. He says it's hard for a good man to be king. Mm-hmm. After that, like he talks to Nakia, and Nakia says, we have all these resources. We should reach out. We could do it just like other countries do. Except we'll do it better because we're more advanced than these other countries. Yeah. And then he goes to the border and talks to W'Kabi, Dan Kaluuya's character from Get Out, great actor. And he said, like, this is what Nakia told me, and he's literally just gauging where everybody else is at, so he can to try to take different varying ideas into consideration. And his response was, you let other people in, and then you have to deal with other people's problems, and we're not too, and then we're just like any other country. And like the thing for me with this movie was, this movie is set up to where, like, when you see the previews and the trailers, you think this movie is going to be pretty much like a fish out of water experience for like Everett K. Ross. Like, he's gonna be like a bystander and witness, seeing all this great stuff and just being shocked and awe, or not shocked, but being awe of all this great stuff. And that is the case in the bits that he's in there. But the real avatar for the viewer in this movie is actually T'Challa. Mm-hmm. And when he's basically like, okay, you look at it, like, it turned out like this movie is about privilege. And like, in a way that, I mean, it's shocking, because you would think a movie that you don't really think about that. Like, you think of normally when you think of privilege, you think of gender or race, and also income, but you don't think of like what it would be like to be on the other side of the coin of being in a country that was technologically advanced, free of colonialism, free of all like this, all of the just psychic damage done to black people over 400 years, all this other stuff, and just sit in that, and then like the leg up those people will have over the rest of the people on that continent that have dealt with the resources being wiped out from colonialism, and how they would handle that, or if they would. And Michael B. Jordan comes on the door because he actually has a path to the throne through bloodline, and basically moves it, and makes a shock to the system. And over time, like, the whole story is, without Killmonger, this country, like, Killmonger, because of what happened in this gigantic war, like, this country is now setting a path towards something better than what it was going on, because of not being afraid of reaching out and coming out and dealing with other people that look like you, or other people around the world. Like, there's a UN cutscene at the end, yep, where he said, like, we're all one. Like, we need to start acting like it, and we are here to, like, not be hiding in the shadows anymore. And that's a big deal to start from where he started out, when he's following the whole entire, the way his dad did everything. He's basically, it's kind of like the same thing that happened with in The Last Jedi, the Star Wars movie, where it's basically like, this is your past, screw your past, forget the past, it's there for a reason, it's over, we're moving on, we're past this now. And there was also another part when he bring him back, because he gets the heart-shaped herb again. He was on his deathbed in the snow, that's one thing, we'll get to it, but and he talks to his dad again, and his dad, like, pretty much after a week after just seeing him, and on the astral plane, goes and like, it's great for you to be king, and now, so we go, well, you had a week. You died. You fucked around and died. I'm king in a week. Well, time to bring your dumb ass with me. And then he's like, no, I can't let this happen. Why do you leave it? And then all of this is sin. It's all of and he's like, you're wrong, Dad. All of y'all are wrong. I can't let this happen. I must reclaim the throne. I gotta fix what our bloodline fucked up. Mm-hmm. And that was incredible. And like, you look at it from the lens of privilege.
They always say sins of the father. Like, that was exactly that.
And then you look at also, like, in the terms of privilege, and you think of like, and it kind of got touched on in one of these other recent Marvel movies, like Thor Ragnarok, with Hela. How like what did it take for you to get that throne made of gold? What did it take for Wakanda to become this? And it took, and the cost was we turned a blind eye to all the stuff happening around the world because we were focused on ourselves first, and nothing else mattered. And how do you reconcile that? And T'Challa, this whole movie, and Killmonger and everything, brought him on the path towards we're not doing that no more. And I thought that was a beautiful story.
Yeah. What'd you think, Josh?
Man, that was...
Well, I was like 10 minutes. I didn't realize I did that.
No, I was just listening. I mean, that was a really, like, in-depth, like, explanation of the movie. I mean, one reason that I thought, like, Killmonger specifically was an incredible villain is just how human he was as a villain. A lot of the other, like, characters that you see, they come off as, like, cartoony or gimmicky. You know, you don't really buy into what they're saying, but, like, you understood that what this guy's intentions were. You understood why he was doing it, and you could actually empathize and sympathize. Even if you disagreed or agreed one way or the other, it was pretty clear who he was and what he was doing, and it was realistic. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that was, like, the beauty of his character. Plus, like, Michael B. Jordan, just in general, like, the dialogue, his acting, his delivery, it was... it's one of the top, like, 2 or 3 Marvel villain portrayals that we've ever gotten, really, you know?
Yeah, the thing with me that killed me with Michael B. Jordan is, in this movie, you have all of these people that are so overqualified for these jobs they're doing, where Angela Bassett has been freaking... everybody, right? And she's been Tina Turner in movies. She's been
Michael Jackson's mother.
She was
mother.
Way to Exhale, Biggie's mother.
Yes.
Like, this is a person that's overqualified to play the Queen of Wakanda.
Angela Bassett's like the female, like, Samuel L. Jackson. She's, like, been in everything. The same way how, like, Samuel L. Jackson shows up in everything, like...
Morgan Freeman, yeah.
Or, like, Morgan Freeman, yeah. Like, they show up in everything.
So, you look at someone like her, you look at someone that was, like, stand-up performance like Dave Coulier in Get Out. You look at Denai Guerrero, who I've only seen for snippets, but I've always liked what she was doing in The Walking Dead. Yeah. And then you look at, like, Lupita Nyong'o and what she did in 13 Years a Slave. And you know that, like, this cast is a fantastic cast, and then, like,
it's a Hall of Fame,
star, and it's one of those things because, like, this is one of the situations where, like, there's a groundswell of stuff where, like, you have these kind of a landmark type of situation happen where, like, all these people that typically, like, there's only one or maybe two, if you're lucky, 2 of these people in a big time movie that can actually, like, be fantastic, and you're like, well, you can just hire all these people because they're all available right now. And then you can put that kind of cast together. And you can tell, like, they really had a lot of fucking fun doing this movie.
Yeah.
There was something else that stood out with T'Challa and Killmonger. It was like, seeing, like, the 2, like, black guys lead, like, the different approaches. Like, it's everything that's ever happened through time. It's Malcolm and Martin. It's W.E.B. Du Bois versus Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
It's the same thing,
It's Ali versus Frazier.
No, yeah.
I mean, you could say that.
You could say that.
Hold on. Minus the actual revolution being the blatant racist against saying problematic stuff about amongst white people to Frazier.
Yeah.
There's all the colorism stuff, calling him a monkey and stuff, right? So you got that, and also, like, there's another part about that also Dead by This is also, and I said this to you when we got out about this is. You don't really know this because you're not really in comic books, but, like, it's also, like, just like you said, it's Malcolm and Martin. It's Malcolm and Martin. It's Du Bois and Booker T. Washington, and it's also Magneto and Xavier. Like, this dichotomy of, like, being the pacifist versus by any means necessary, whatever it costs, even if it means lives and faults. Jay-Z Allure, right? So
it was.
The Jay-Z versus Nas too. Like,
I'm not doing that.
This Tupac versus Biggie too.
I'm not doing that. I'm not going there with you.
But in comics,
so T'Challa was Biggie and then Killmonger was Pac in that scenario, right?
You've seen this before with Captain and
Iron Man,
and you've seen it in not so well done in the movies, but in the comic books with with Superman, Batman. Very similar.
Are you talking about basically like Batman? I'm sorry, The Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Michael Jackson and Prince.
No. We were talking about ideology. Now you're just talking about like the two bad guys and whatever. So you might want to say Griffey and Bonds?
Sure. Okay. Why not? Why not?
It's not even about the ideology.
Sure.
God.
And Barry Bonds was Killmonger.
Oh my God. Yikes.
And Killmonger was better.
Where were we?
Just like Bonds was better.
Where were we? I've lost track of this. You digressed so hard.
We were talking about Killmonger and T'Challa.
Yeah.
I'm in Johnson and Farouk, and I'm
so,
The Rock and Booker T. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't know how this went off the rails so fast. How did this happen?
All right. The vibranium. I think that it's important to touch on.
All right.
Well, let's.
All right.
So between the cousins. I think it's telling like that's in the back to the line of privilege. Like that is something that happens, and I talked to you about this before off air, probably a few times about like you look at just how privilege works for people and like things turn out for people and how people's lives are driven in different divergent paths. Like
it really, what's funny that you're mentioning this? It kind of reminds me in a way of the feud between Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales in boxing. Because even though they were both like Mexican national superstars, the whole entire feud between them was that Morales is from Tijuana and Barrera's from Mexico City, and he's the son of a doctor and a lawyer, basically. Mm-hmm. And that's why they hated each other so freaking much, because of what they both represented, like, ideologically, because here's the one guy, he's privileged, and he's a top star, and the other guy, he came from, the slums, and, basically, that's why they hated each other, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And, I mean, I feel it's also a really nice touch, and it also helps that, that Coogler is from Oakland.
Right.
But the fact that he was able to tie in, like, he was 92 Oakland, he's playing too short, the kids are playing on a hoop, in a crate hoop, right? And then he tells a story of his dad was and Jobo was, the prince was a war dog, a spy, mm-hmm. just just basically a sleeper, just there in the country, and then falls in love with a woman, and is in Oakland, and Oakland's super fucked up still to this day, and he basically sees all the stuff, all the mystery with the people that look like him, and he wants to try and solve it, and he knows that it's against the rules in this country, so he still finds tries to figure out a way to make this work, and then from there, like, that also means that, like, his dad's dead. He's gone. Like, he has no support system with him. Who knows what the hell happens to him. Right. I would love... I mean, the one thing about this movie is they have, like, 3 or 4 movies they could easily do a spinoff of and do. Like, they could do a Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger prequel movie about, like, his time at Annapolis or at MIT and going into in the Army, learning how to do this. You have the Okoye movie with the Dora Milaje that it could do. You could do a tech movie or a spy movie with Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia. Or I would like to see. I don't know how they would do it, but I like to see. Eventually, like maybe in the future, go down the road, like they're doing the Shuri. Like in the movie, in the comic book, she actually becomes a Black Panther. Like T'Challa dies and she becomes Black Panther. That could be something that could happen sometime down the road too. Mm-hmm. Like she was so great in this movie. So, you see, like the paths these people went down, and like it makes sense that like he sees all the stuff that happened to people that like him on an everyday basis, and you also see when he actually takes the heart-shaped herb and he goes to the astral plane and sees his dad about I should have look what's happened. Like, you have no tears for me, and then he says. People die often here. Like, there's no need for tears. Like, he's numb to it. He's numb to death. And then Joba goes, I should have took you here. I should have took you to back to Wakanda before this even got to this point. Like we're both just lost. And then his response was, because everything happened to him, maybe it's them that's lost. Like that was really touching and nuance and the level of, you don't really see that kind of stuff on the $200 million movie screen with black people. That doesn't really happen like that. And I thought this movie was great. I really did. There's so much fun stuff.
You do sometimes when it's Michael B. Jordan, though. No, seriously. He puts in great performance after great performance. Like
yes,
this.
He does.
Fruitvale Station, Creed, different movies.
All Coogler movies.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Coogler did all three of those movies.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, that's about as good of that's the first three movies as anyone for a director.
Coming out the gate like Kanye with 3 classics.
Yeah,
you know who else we left off? Why do I always forget his name? Who played Uncle Jamie?
Uncle James, you mean?
Uncle James?
Oh, Forrest Whitaker?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's another part that's great about this.
We left Forrest Whitaker.
Oh, my God. Like,
bro, when he dies, I was like, because I was like, well, who the fuck is going to, turn somebody back to the Black Panther? What the fuck?
No, the part that I love about it, we're going to get to the women because we need to get to the women in a minute. But, because they are literally the backbone of this entire movie. But they, my God, like, when you talk about like great Killmonger moments, besides like that whole "Hey Auntie" and I found my daddy with panther claws in his chest, right? Besides that, and also the one where he's like, "What you think? Y'all did to get this? You get all this African
that was
stuff like
that part was really good. Also, when he's like, "Ask me who I am."
Yeah.
Ooh, then you get like chills, bro.
Yeah.
But the one for me was when he's about to kill Killmonger or kill T'Challa, and then Zuri even before the ritual combat that time, he sees Killmonger, can't even look him in the eye because he knows, and then it's also another part about it is like being back on because at that point in time Killmonger's what, like 8, you think? How old do you think he was as a kid?
Probably like 10 or 8.
10, 8, something like that. He's playing outside in the dark, whatever. So, this is right-hand man. That was Uncle James.
Yeah.
And then when he kills me, he's like, take me as sacrifice. Don't kill the child. He's like, I'll take you to Uncle James instead. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the level of that, like just to think of like, well, yeah, there wasn't just a situation where like he's just homeboys or whatever. I was like, no, this person also helped. Mold this dude, and then like as a sleeper, but then like also they just for him like to be 8 years old and also these motherfuckers. I know Wakanda disappeared like clearly, and then you see him there like, oh yeah, motherfucker, you definitely were in there involved in killing the death of my dad, even though you wasn't. Mm-hmm. But still, it's like, oh, you definitely have something to do with this. You definitely have one hand. I'm definitely stabbing you. I'm definitely stabbing you to death.
Even when he killed his chick, when he was like, shh, everything's gonna be okay. Boom, and then he took her right out. I was like, yo, this guy.
I'm glad you brought that up. Did you happen to read one of these like think pieces? There's been a million think pieces that have come out around this thing. Did you happen to see the one from David Dennis?
No.
It's like you love Killmonger because of your disdain for black women or something like that.
What?
I won't say disdain for black women as much as disdain for women in general, because bro, he did so much stuff.
He did some terrible
women are so disposable to him.
Yeah.
Women are so disposable to him.
I think
so disposable.
I think, and one of the main points he brought up was what you brought up, Josh, was why he had to shoot his own girlfriend while Cloud had her like strung up essentially or whatever.
I don't know. Like.
I think that was kind of weak personally. Like as far as like an argument, like, why? Because I feel like. And this goes back to wrestling. You remember when The Undertaker killed Paul Bearer?
Yeah.
I feel like it was a situation just like that. Like
right.
It was like, yo, you're not about to like hang anybody over me, no life, period.
Well, one, here's the thing, right? He kills 2 women that are actually just people that are just in there, and he just kills them. And I don't know whether, and depending on the situation. Right, like that could have easily, like the woman that was like the curator of the museum, that could have easily been a dude that he could have killed. But it is saying something that like poison a woman, girl that he's in some type of romantic link to, just kills with no thought or hesitation. Even though like the dude's clearly a fucking incredible shot because. One, you read his rap sheet, you find the tattoos of all the people he's killed, and then also the part where like he can kill, like one shot is all it took for him to be able to kill Claw from 50 feet away, but he can't like just shoot him in the head when there's a clear shot to take. I don't know. You have that, and then also a part where he gets out and he's like, "Ain't gonna be no more Black Panthers." Burn the whole crop of heart-shaped herbs, and she goes, "But what about the next one?" Meaning, like, what about if you have a kid, or is there a third? He grabs that woman by the throat. I guess that's Zuri's wife. I'm not sure, or whatever he says. When I say something, I mean that shit, and literally by one shit held up his thing. I was thinking like, yeah. And then you got other situations where like he could have easily killed Shuri until T'Challa made the save at the end. Mm-hmm. Like, he really, like, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to get it. I mean, it wasn't really, like, it was only stuff that was just shown. Like, it never actually, like, touched on it in the storyline as much as it was. They just showed it to you. But you just from, like, the actions of violence against women, that dude really has his issues. Like, clearly, that dude's a villain. Ain't no mistaking, you know, whether or not this dude is or not.
That's not the primary reason, like, people love Killmonger, though.
Agreed.
So, I don't know. I think it's just misguided.
You know what it's like, guys? It's just like in wrestling, if you have a great heel, the best heels eventually get loved because they're so good at what they do. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the same way in movies. All the Hannibal Lecter, freaking Vader, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Freddy Krueger, like, people love good villains, and he's a great villain. I don't think people are out here being like, yeah, he killed that chick, they love it.
Yeah,
it's not like that.
Right.
But it's like, oh, crap, he's for real.
Yes. Like, when he lit that lady out, I knew he wasn't playing.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the one thing you also got to take is, like, the level of nuance in all these, in so many of these characters and so much of the plot will like, there is no way that Coogler did that without being conscious of that. Is what I'm getting at on that. Like, there is no, like, if this was like Vince McMahon doing this or whatever, then yeah, I think he'd been like, yeah, I really didn't notice that I actually had him like just basically like just to be so dismissive of violence with women or whatever else, even though he's supposed to be a guy that has a compelling point. Even though he's a really evil motherfucker. Yeah. I think that's also part of it, because, like, look, man, this is the reason why you can't fully invest, like, a guy that you think is super charismatic, has a real something really tragic happened to him in his life, and it shaped his life, and also he's also the revolution that's taking Wakanda in the path that it should go towards. But you have to stop short of that, because one, he's ultimately what he's trying to do is create literal genocide.
Yeah.
Like, his end game is genocide. And two, like, look how he treats women. That dude's not of noble heart. This dude ain't like fully just, you know, here for the cause or whatever, as far as like, I'm here to liberate everybody. Well, nah, you're here to liberate, like, you know, you're here for vengeance. Like, other stuff is also what you're saying as well, because it makes you seem like you're not not an evil person. But nah, bro, you evil.
And also, what he did to build himself up, and we barely have touched on T'Challa at all, but he succeeded where T'Challa failed with Daniel Kaluuya's guy. What was his name?
Wasabi.
Wasabi. Okay, so he.
Sorry. Wasabi is freaking.
Hold on, let me see.
Wakabi. It's Wakabi.
Okay.
Is W-K-A
getting his allegiance?
Yeah, Wakabi. Yeah, getting his allegiance, because what did Wakabi want? He wanted
Claw dead.
He wanted Claw's head, and who's the guy that brought it to him? I thought that was a great way to like build him up and like turn essentially Wakanda on itself.
Right. So
essentially.
That's the thing. That's one of the things I disliked about the movie the most. And it's not even so much like a criticism, but just as like a fan watching it, I was like, dang, these guys are all killing each other. And I was like, that sucks. Like, that's the one part of the movie where I was like, when the Civil War broke out, I guess what I didn't like about it is because it's a Marvel movie. It was, even though it was like a battle, it was kind of a battle the same way you'd see a battle in like the Avengers between aliens and superheroes, but instead you're seeing it with these two separate factions of the army turned on each other. And it wasn't like you're watching like Saving Private Ryan, where it's like, oh my god, this is dramatic. They are killing each other. You're almost. This is the one thing I didn't like about how desensitized the battle scenes were, because people are literally getting murdered, but it's just an action sequence, and I did not like that about that part of the movie.
Well, that's another part of the Marvel thing. Like, there's always going to be a big battle scene where there's factions of a number of heroes, and it is a gigantic battlefield of like 100 people going at it, and that's one part. And oh my god, another part is, did you roll your eyes when the fucking rhinos came out? Because I did.
Nah, I thought it was kind of cool.
I was like, oh.
At that point, I was just charges to the game. Like
it was like, oh, unleash the Kraken. Like, oh, okay, like now, this is like the advantage that the Hills are getting over on now. Like, they can't just both be all human in combat or whatever and go from there.
They're Hills.
Yeah. But I lost my train of thought of what I was going to go to. But
the Krakens.
No, before that.
Oh, my bad.
What were we just talking about before we even got into the
war?
battle? Oh, no, W'Kabi. Yeah, W'Kabi. So, he was... Okay, so of all the characters that you say, like, were fully realized, three-dimensional people, I think that he was... I think that they did the worst job with him, and I don't know if that's because you can look at the movie and tell that they were clearly... edits to cut down the length of the movie. So I don't know when they come out with a director's cut of this, when it's 20 minutes longer, he's more fully fleshed out as a character. But it seemed like his whole thing was, there's five tribes. 4 of them are in seclusion, or 4 of them are acting as a nation. The Jabari are in the mountains, just doing whatever the fuck they do, and. Like the river tribe, which is Nakia, and the border tribe, which is like where they were, W'Kabi, and the rhinos, and basically like the front for the fact that like there's actually technological marvel, but like once you're on the border, all you see is like the people in huts and with goats and shit, so you don't really know. And then, but he's there, and they did 2 different. Basically, throne room meetings or whatever. And after Michael B. Jordan had taken the throne, Denai Guerrero's character, Okoye, she's really conflicted. She's conflicted emotionally, like as far as mentally, she knows where she's at.
Right.
Like, I'm serving the throne, even no matter how much my heart hurts for the fact that, like, this person that, by all accounts, looks like she trained T'Challa, right? Mm-hmm. Don't freeze, and all the jokes about the fact that he froze. She means clearly she knows this is a shortcoming with this dude. But that, or she goes, we don't do this. We don't engage in combat trying to convince them, like, we don't do this. We don't send guns out to people, or guns out to our war dogs in other countries and have them just raise hell. We don't do that. And then W'Kabi, after, basically, got what he wanted, which is like Michael B. Jordan has a claim to the throne and also brought me what I've wanted for 30 years, which is this dude's head on a platter, says, yeah, that is true historically, but...
Well, I'm rolling with Rockefeller,
he goes,
they got money.
But he basically goes, yeah, we have done it. So that's what we are. But the world's reaching up closer, and then he's like, either be the conquered or the conquerors. I prefer to be the conquerors, which sounds a whole lot like, to me, they will not replace us.
Yes,
right. You also got to keep in mind, there's also W'Kabi who, when Charles was like seeking counsel from some, or like building, like trying to build ideas and figure out where to go, direction. He was the one that said, like, can't be letting people come in here.
Yeah.
They will be just like anybody else. Like, he literally is like ideologically, like, that dude is clearly conservative. Like, we want to stay isolated. We don't want nobody to advance past us. We just want to be ourselves and stay in our own like little like and stay ourselves. Like, we don't want to change. Like, so traditional. Like, that's definitely like something I picked up on. It was interesting. Like, but that's pretty much all you got for him. And then like he goes from that to get to the battle scene. We bring on Ronald and try to kill M'Baku, and then he sees his girlfriend. After literally fighting for like the last 20 minutes and didn't give a damn about her health or safety or whatever being. I don't give a damn how good of a warrior she is. And goes and says, would you kill me, my love? Motherfucker, you ain't gonna fuck about her for the past 20 minutes. People with spears is going off, planes falling from the sky, rhinos coming through, niggas dressed like gorillas. Like,
yes.
What? So, like, I thought that, hopefully, if we get a director's cut of that, we'll see more of, what came to his motivation besides just those points. But the women, yeah, man. Like, who's your favorite woman in this movie?
It's got to be Nakia.
Which one's Nakia?
Not only like
Lupita Nyong'o.
Not only did she look good the whole movie.
Spy.
Not only did she look good the whole movie, but she was the conscience of the movie. I thought. So everything that T'Challa essentially confided in her, she advised him. She was tough in her own right. She was real.
Who's the actress that plays Michonne on The Walking Dead?
Denai Guerrero.
Okay. Yeah, that's Okoye.
Okoye was my favorite
she was great
character
too.
on the movie. I think one thing I liked about it was that because you said T'Challa was almost like the avatar for the viewer, and that I agree with that. Mm-hmm. But I think on the female side, the person you almost empathize with the most or share the viewpoint of what's going on is her, because she's the one who's conflicted between these two different ideologies and viewpoints. And
she's a soldier, and literally there's a regime change, and what are you loyal to, right?
Exactly.
Are you loyal
to the colors?
Are you loyal to the king in your relationship, or are you loyal to your country? And there's a great moment after the changing of the guard to Killmonger, where Shuri and Queen Ramonda flee, and they meet back at the Royal Palace with Nakia and Okoye, and she was like, "We got him out to safety," and she's like, "Good." And then she's like, "Come with us," and she's like, "I can't come with you." And she said, "What do you mean?" And then Okoye's like, "Look, my pledge is to the country. My pledge is to the throne, whoever sits upon it." I understand, Nakia, and this is a great moment. This is one more part where I think, Nakia is actually, the conscious of this entire movie. Because everything she says and every plot motivation she says is right. But, they both brought themselves to a point where, they both made points about each other that made them eventually come to a point when they had to come face to face with, their both of their equal flaws. It was in this conversation. Mm-hmm. Okoye tells Nakia, "I am not a spy. I can't just come and go as I please, and I stand for something." Right? Where on the other end, Nakia says, "Look, I love this country as well as you do, but what you're confusing as being loyal to the country, you think you're defending the country. I'm trying to save the country." Is what Nakia tells her, and then you get to the point where they come back. You get to the part where they're moving off the shipments at the end to start at the beginning, right before the final battle scene, and you have all the border guys with Wakabi, and you have the Dora Milaje and Okoye up there, and they see T'Challa alive, which means the ritual battle isn't over. He did not give up either, so they have to fight again, and then you see people have to make decisions on who they're actually going to fight for.
Yeah.
And you see Wakabi.
Who you with?
Yeah, who you with? And they go out there and attack T'Challa and the Dora Milaje. They go out there and they go and fight some of the border soldiers, and they also go and fight Killmonger. It'll let you know, at that point in time, in the moment of truth, she made the right decision of choosing the right path for Wakanda as opposed to just being loyal to a dumb throne. And I loved it. And Nakia, when they give her that Dora Milaje outfit, she's like, "I'm not a Dora." She's like, "It's armor." And she put it on and she wouldn't fall for her country. She did not go and run and hide or go off in exile somewhere else or go off the grid or whatever else. At the end of the day, after that conversation, they all made the right decisions. I loved it. I loved it.
One other thing, too, that I just thought about and I think was important was the idea that Killmonger was... We talked about why did he kill those women earlier in the movie and all that. We kind of established the narrative. But one other thing is during this final battle, he had 2 or 3 run-ins with the main female cast. Mm-hmm. And so you knew that once he interacted with them, it was like, oh, he could kill him.
Yeah.
So that fear was actually put in place because it was like a callback to earlier.
He actually killed Dora, yeah.
And so you're like, oh my god, I hope he doesn't kill the chicks that you like.
Yeah, because he really could have. I mean, there was a point where I
thought they might go that way.
He really killed Siri. You thought at the end, right before, that was a possibility, yeah.
Something else cool I know I liked about the movie was and to take it back was the first battle between T'Challa and M'Baku.
It was great,
and it was like you got the arena, like essentially, like you get the camera and it pans all the way up the mountains. You see just the masses of people, the songs and chanting. So like you knew what it was, like right there.
Yeah, it's funny because when it was the second ritual battle. And he's like, it will take days to have a virtual battle, another one, and then Michael B. Jordan goes, days? Like, I don't need the whole country here for this virtual battle. I just need him. Like on the waterfront, that's all I need. I don't need everybody coming in on the river and dancing around. And that's one thing that was also cool was when all the different tribes all came on their own suspicion. I mean, all these movies are suspicion of disbelief and whatnot. But you mean to tell me that the queen of the country who shows up, and the princess of the country show up and say, we are here because our country has been, our country, meaning all of us, has been, there's been a regime change. There's been somebody has grabbed the power vacuum.
Yeah.
And we need you because of the game theory, because of what's going to happen. We need you to now take over the country. You like shut in, reclusive, super ultra conservative country that's old fashioned and basically trying to go back to the Stone Age and just completely like no technology, nothing,
off the grid.
Right? Off the grid, yeah, closed off the country, right? Primitive country.
Yeah. And
we're gonna offer you the heart shaped herb or whatever, and then you go through all this stuff and talk, and then you all of a sudden say, "Follow me," and then you go, "Oh yeah." And then they walk up and they see the T'Challa's body. You mean to tell me like that doesn't start that you just buried the lead? That doesn't start the conversation like that? Oh yeah, the Queen's here. I wonder if her son's dead body will be, or her son's body will be something she'd be interested in. Like I'm just gonna let you go through and to explain to me all the stuff that's happened. Not actually just come off the top and be like, oh yeah, by the way,
yeah.
Like I was like, okay, that's
shown in the back.
That's some real Deus Ex Machina, like some real like tie up a short. Like that was the only real issue I really had with the movie. I mean, there's also the part where like
I didn't like the end.
You didn't like the end?
I didn't like when they showed up with that giant ship in Oakland.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't like that being the end of the
movie. That was Gotham City in the ghetto right there, bro.
Oh my god!
That was in bring the Batmobile through the hood.
Oh my god! Okay, so here's the thing, right? They could have made two. They made two decisions, right?
Yeah.
And I actually read an article who decided like he could have either chose that to be the end of the movie or the United Nations to be the end of the movie. He went with that one, and he said the end of it is what is more inspiring, like the child, like the whole kumbaya, be as one people situation that clearly was going to be a thing that was going to happen, or the end of the movie. And you're going to get either or, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get either or. Like one has to be a cut scene at the credit scene. Either that, so you end the movie with either that or the inspiration, which is like inspiration of a kid, like the wonder of seeing that and being like, who are you? Like, it's a Bugatti spaceship, and it goes like, dude, this is yours? Who are you? Like, it was a choice they made. Like, if there were no such thing as credit scenes, I would have went with the United Nations. But seeing that we were going to get all that anyway, I understand why they went with that one.
No, it wasn't that. I just thought it was like kind of corny.
I know.
That's why I didn't like it specifically.
I mean, to be honest, either one of those were corny. Either that one or the United Nations thing.
For how good the movie was, I just thought it was like a little bit of a letdown, and it brought me down from like 5 to like 4 3/4 stars on this.
Okay, so now the one real criticism besides that I have for the movie, besides the how convenient it is that like they just had his body, his dead comatose body, was also like. Remembering Creed, remembering like the reason why that movie was one of the reasons why that movie was so great was the fights, like the boxing match during the match, like the cut scenes the tracking shots of they're literally fighting, and then like there's no cuts in between. Like obviously they cheat the cut, but like you couldn't tell you're sitting there like you feel like it's all in one take, and you see all the action together, and they're
using like wider angles to kind of showcase what's going on, and they cut a lot in this movie.
It is a thing that happens because of we notice this as being wrestling fans with WWE television, right? Or even actually in general with like Like when you see any Scarlett Johansson action scene, you see it's cut to shit because clearly she can't do hurricane ranas and all that stuff on people and put people in and tie people up in knots. So you have to do a lot of cheating. The opening scene in Korea when they're fighting in there, that is fantastic. That is a great tracking shot, and also chasing that whole part is a whole thing. Like the casino fight and then the chase.
Oh, yeah.
Those are both great. Those are both fantastic. Those are best action of both of them. But when you get to the rituals and then like the battle scene with all the CGI and all the cuts and how close up shots are and everything, it kind of pulls you out at times. And I don't think this might be the first time they see it, but like after like the second or third view, you kind of get annoyed by it.
I'd have to go back because I only watched the movie the one time, but
Right.
I actually thought this is what I liked about those ritual fight scenes. I liked them a little bit better than the casino fight scene and the chase scene because a lot of those scenes kind of remind me of stuff you see in action movies a lot of the time. You know, like Fast and Furious and James Bond movies, stuff like that.
Right, and I think that's the reason why I like it so much. The fact that like these superhero movies can't just be superhero movies. Like we need Ant-Mans, which are heist movies. We need Logan's, which are westerns. We need something to like kind of be something bigger than just a standard issue superhero movie. And like this movie accomplished it by doing a bunch of different things, but like one of them was also dipping into that. But yeah, sorry.
And I don't disagree with that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with those scenes. They just weren't my favorites. What I liked though was the ritual fight scenes because the actual, even though it was cut a lot. Being like a fight fan, seeing like the choreography, they were choreographed. Even though they were cut up, they were choreographed so well and so like flawlessly. And there are like African tribal type of like fight styles that they actually incorporated into those scenes. And you kind of saw the influence of that in like MMA, which are things you don't see a lot of in Marvel movies. So just being like a fight fan, I thought that they were simple. They were quick. I mean, they weren't like super long in depth. And
they were good. They just like once you see what he did in Creed, you're thinking like a two-on like, and then you see what he does in that casino scene.
Yeah.
And then like you're thinking like it's gonna be 2-on-2. It's gonna be 1-on-1 like single-handed combat. Like this might be some mind-blowing type of shit, but it just maybe it was a thing where I was disappointed because one, it wasn't. I thought it was going to be like some
epic.
Yeah. And it just turned out to be merely good.
I actually thought the M'Baku fight scene was better than the ones that he had with Michael B. Jordan.
I can see that because like there was actually like a real life. By that point in time, you're still trying to figure out like what are all of
their capabilities,
Michael B. Jordan's capabilities, and also his intentions for once he actually gets thrown, and then. But like when M'Baku, like immediately like that dude's from that bad tribe, from the motherfuckers that cast themselves out. They didn't get cast out; they casted themselves out. You see how he talked to Shuri about
see how he started bargaining.
Yeah, you gave all of the technological advancements of this country to that girl, and you're like, okay, you're clearly the bad guy. And then like the part where like that felt really like a lot like Creed was when they're in trouble. And he says to them, and Romana says, tell them who you are.
All right, so we got cut off by the timer, but go ahead, James.
But yeah, basically pretty much the Creed moment is he's in a fight with M'Baku, and then he gets in trouble like he's like there's going to be danger, which is like, wow, he's in danger in the first like half hour of the movie. But he's in danger, and then Queen Romana says, tell them who you are, and he goes, I'm T'Chaka, mother, I can't say the word, son, why can't I say son, why can't I get that word out? He said, I am T'Chaka, son of T'Chaka, I'm T'Challa, son of T'Chaka, and it was really inspirational how he overcame that, and and he's like, I'd like to present to, Zuri goes, I'd like to present T'Challa, the Black Panther. Like, it was fantastic. And he was like, my king. He's like, thank you, sir. He goes, my king. Like, it was really, really, really celebratory.
Her one-liners in the beginning, oh my God, have you dying. Like,
yeah, like, that's one thing, because we talked about Nikki, and we talked about, and we also talked about Okoye, but like, and I heard going in, like, she was basically like this, Suri was like the runaway, like, hit of the movie. And I really do enjoy her, but I was just so into Okoye's character, how interesting it is to see like somebody like that to be like really full in all the way in love with your country to like fight, defend, and everything else. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like there's a bunch of black people that like that, but like that kind of devotion to your country and where you're from, like I found that to be really interesting. And also like how she dealt with like the death of the quote unquote death of T'Challa at the time and how she was going to handle it. Like I thought it was interesting. Her story arc was great, but like. She's funny, and I can't wait until, and I hope they do this because it would make no sense if they don't, but, like, I can't wait for her to, like, get into the situation where she's in these gigantic Avengers movies when there's, like, going to be 50 superheroes.
Yeah.
And, like, see Tony Stark, Iron Man, and then she's basically like, you're considered like the biggest like technical genius in the world. Nah, bro. Like,
Check this out.
Wait till she's gonna outsmart ass him out, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see how people handle it because I know I'm gonna love it. I know I'm gonna love it.
Oh man, so yeah, you mentioned that like the other movies. Like, where do you see like the immediate fallout of this universe going?
I mean, if it were me, and I don't think I said this to you. Like, I want a certain movie. I want a Spy Nakia movie. I want a Dora Milaje movie with Okoye. Like, I want to see those movies. I don't know if they'll be made because plans and everything, and they're almost like T.I. with that. Well, T.I. is like Marvel pretty much has every movie planned out to 2028. So,
yeah.
So I don't know if they'll ever get around to it, but like. If they wanted to, they could do it because they did a lot of great work and character work with people where people are fully fleshed out. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was really saying something because like you look at T'Challa's story arc in Civil War, and there's a great argument to say that he is the fully most fleshed out like character arc of any superhero in Marvel Cinematic Universe. Between what happened when like he learned how to basically he learned from so many mistakes and overcame so many things, like where his father died in Civil War, to wanting vengeance, to seeing what was tearing Tony and Rogers apart, to realizing like vengeance is a motherfucker. It will ruin you. So I'm going to the bad guy in Civil War. I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to send him to the proper authorities. Like, and then you go to where it's like he's literally a man trying to keep his country together, and he figured out how to do it. Like,
yeah, I would say in the Marvel cinema universe,
yeah,
that's probably true. The only other person I can think of that really comes to mind that is maybe Iron Man, Tony Stark.
Maybe. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, in Captain, I'm sorry, because he definitely learned lessons especially in like Iron Man 3. Yeah. And especially in Civil War, we realized like I'm right, but I'm going about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And also like, but there's also the part where like he was going to kill Rogers and Bucky, and at that point, like I really want him to kill Rogers and Bucky. At that point, I really want him to kill them too. I hate them so much. I go away. Like I'm so sick and tired of that.
That was actually the point I was going to make. Was like he learned these lessons and stuff, but he did it over the course of like 6-7 movies. Whereas like we've had Black Panther for 2 movies. So it is kind of very interesting how they've been able to fully realize this character so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, like...
I think that was like a function of the pressure, too, that was on this movie.
That was
like there wasn't no, like, hey, if they ain't get it right, like, it wasn't going to be a part 2.
But with his introduction was almost stronger than any other...
Yeah.
Because there's other characters that they have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like Hulk, like...
Division. They ain't done shit with Division.
Scarlet Witch. These other characters
ain't done shit with her neither, really.
They exist, but they're not fully fleshed out characters, and they've been around longer.
So they're like the Dolph Zigglers.
Not exactly.
Just like I feel like certain people they've done a better job with than others, but like nobody's terrible.
You know who's the Dolph Ziggler of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Oh God, who?
Hawkeye.
Ooh, that's when Hawkeye's actually a geek though. Like Hawkeye, like when they did, like that's one of the things that killed. They actually like hurt. I know they were. I get what they were trying to do on Ultron, but like ultimately hurt the movie because like
he didn't belong.
Like the whole thing is trying to show like they're trying to show that like the people that are their actual human beings actually really do matter.
Yeah.
And I guess that was a way to carry on to worry about like getting to Civil War, but at the same time, like I really do not find Hawkeye interesting at all. And even though his wife is lovely, and I love Linda Cardellini, especially from Freaks and Geeks, but that ain't enough. Just because I love your wife doesn't mean I give a damn if you die or not.
I love Freaks and Geeks. So I'll just say this, like you guys said, they've planned out pretty much everything going forward, but they've essentially succeeded in creating this other alternative.
Or they could do it. I don't know if they already do it. They could do it. They did such a good job in this movie that they could do it.
I don't think they will create movies out of these other characters.
Same here.
I just don't think that that's how Marvel really operates as far as like marketability. There's not enough proven stock in those other characters to have full-fledged stories. But they have this other like major mega franchise that it's already bigger than Iron Man. It's bigger than Thor. It's bigger than Captain America.
It's bigger than every. It's the first week did better than every Marvel movie except for the first Avengers, which is shocking.
And right now,
I never would have thought it would have did non-Avengers numbers, but it did.
All those other movies exist to basically propel the story with the Avengers and the extended Marvel universe. They'll kind of, and not that this doesn't exist in a vacuum, but it is this sort of set apart. What is the word? Brand or thing that
franchise.
It's a
franchise inside a franchise.
It's a franchise that has now established itself. It's the NWO to their WCW. It's a big deal.
Yeah, man. I guess that's a good place to leave it. I thought this was one of the best movies I've ever seen. I saw a lot of people get dressed up for the movies and enjoy themselves, and I loved every second of it. I loved the moment that it was in time for Twitter, for everything else, like, as far as like all the memes, all the jokes, all the analysis, think pieces, whether I agree with them or not. It was just nice to see, I've never really had a reason to watch any superhero movies, like. It just never reached out to me, but this one did. So I'm glad I got to see it, and I can't wait for the next one.
I hope we get Black Panther and the Infinity Gauntlet and the Secret Wars.
Okay, so if you were to ask me where they're going, because they're doing phase, this is now going to be phase 4 after.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
They come in phase basically we do certain 4 or 5 movies over the span of 2-3 years, and then we have a part where a bunch of them have to get together to figure something out or fight something, whatever, right? So
they have WrestleMania season.
I think so more or less in the last 4 years instead of 1 year. So. Now that we're coming up against, where this summer we have the part 1 of the Infinity Wars, and then part 2 will be the conclusion. I think after Infinity War, if I were them, or not if I were them, but if they were going to if it was time for Rogers or Stark, Iron Man to die, people have to die. There's been the one thing about these movies, nobody ever dies yet. Nobody of consequence has died yet in all over these 18 movies, right? It needs to be time. People need to go, right? Given the storyline and also what happened in the comic of where they're pulling this movie from that's coming up, people need to die. Yeah. So if they're going to basically start over with the Avenger Initiative or something similar, or the Illuminati, whatever they do. There's a comic book Illuminati. Yes, Rich. So if that's what they're going to do, if that's what they're going to do, then the person that should 2/6, the power of the pyramid. So if somebody does actually. Succeed Tony Stark as being at the forefront of all of this, and Robert Downey Jr. It needs to be Chadwick Boseman and Black Panther, because they knocked out the park with this in a way that set up everything to fall online in a similar way to you look back 10 years what they did with Iron Man. You should absolutely, that should be the path they go down. Yeah. So great job by everybody involved in that one. I love this movie, and this is a person that literally will go out to see pretty much any Marvel, DC movie or Star Wars movie, and go out at the forefront, first weekend, go see it. I really enjoyed this one probably more than any other movie I can think of out of all of them.
Yeah, man. I think that's a good place to leave it. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you guys check out all the other shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
I have a show. I got a show on
He does. You guys are pulling in wonderful numbers, keeping it strong style, the New Japan Pro Wrestling Podcast. I don't think there's a better New Japan show out there than that one. So,
you know what? I don't think there is either, but even if there was, I wouldn't know. So you might as well listen to us because good luck trying to find another one that's as good either.
Yep.
So yeah.
Well, yeah. Make sure you guys check out
real niche.
The SFC podcast was the Ricky and Clive show. And if you are hearing this right now on Anchor and you've listened to it for the hour, thank you for the other one. And we're going to combine these and get these up on the Social Suplex Podcast Network feed. If you're listening to it on there, don't worry about any of that.
We can put links to the podcast to actually check out its entirety too, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll get that down in the description link too. Eventually.
Yep. All right, y'all. We out of here.
Later.
Peace.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.